Oh, surviving.
Anybody know any smart technical ladies?
In what way? Smart and technical?
Yeah, that begs the question: for what purpose? But go on.
Yeah, the answer is yes, but that doesn't help you.
I don't know. Maybe we need a female on TSC. Just break it up, balance
yeah,
it out.
no, I got plenty. I got two of them in my company. You know, I got plenty of smart technical ladies.
Have them apply.
No, they wouldn't. No. I don't know if you'd want them to give them the straight answers. No, you don't. You don't. Actually, yeah, no, they'd eat the men. Sorry.
You know what? I wonder if we could get somebody else in mind. I won't name drop right now.
Yeah, but I do get your thing about the gender balance and the it can massively help the dialogue and the nature of the communications with the right mixture of people at their thing.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's experience making me wiser.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I have people who work for me who can wander into a bunch of engineers who are fighting and all the rest of it, and just turn them into, change the dynamic
narrative
dramatically. Right?
Yeah.
Hello. Adam mentioned he will be taking it today as a co-chair, but I suppose you're waiting for him then? This is the agenda he proposed today.
Yeah, the updates from the ISC meeting would require his presence.
Yeah.
I can jump in for a moment though, and it's not on the agenda. I probably should have put it on there, but I wasn't thinking about it at the moment. Most of you, 3 out of the 4 of you, are continuing. Had any of you given any additional thought to the chair role?
Was it not that Kevin would run again on it, or is he not even?
No one put their hand up and said yes, please, which right, and I think it was concluded that as there was no one willing to play the sort of co-chair game, right, then actually we would revisit it after the new TSC arrives, because there's nothing we can do. Yeah. And he was willing to be so, but we can't do that, in the sense that he's chair and does that solve the question, Tex? Yeah, basically, other people have done other things. We had a discussion, and no one was particularly wanted to do the role, except Kevin said he was willing to continue. So,
yeah, it's different from other committees, and especially considering prior events, right? Whether directly involved or just close by and aware, there's a real I don't want to, beauty's the wrong word for it, right? But every other committee has adopted, or rather it was set forth for all committees to use a chair and co-chair in that off-cycle switching as a continuation.
But as the co-chair doesn't want to do it, what do we do?
So the co-chair can't do it, right? The ask was at 6 months ago, after the April elections, to elect somebody else in place of Adam. We did the same thing in the open source committee, right? Now, we didn't take away any of Adam's access per se, because he still had prior committee experience and things.
The point is, no one has. I mean, I think no one has actually stood up and we had this discussion. No one stepped up.
Right, but that in and of itself is concerning.
Yeah.
So what's the prevention from stepping up to that role?
Look, I mean, this is being recorded. Do you really want this? Do you really want my answer to be recorded at this point?
I thought this would be a healthy discussion.
In the sense that the Intersect and Mr. Hoskinson has emasculated the behavior of the TSC, and everything we've tried to do has been shot down in flames. Basically, why do they feel motivated to do this work? That's your basic problem, is that the context in which the TSC is operating is it has no resources. It had it had its remit changed about it from the outside world, right? And a lot of people basically are thinking, there's nothing to push forward here. That's why people are not standing for re-election, for example, partially reasons why. So you're sort of trying to force a behavioural pattern on the committee, right? But the committee's had all of its power stripped from it.
I think we're attributing some of the mainline concerns, where in some cases I would agree, and labeling that again, or pushing those all against something that is of some of the lowest value, right? What I mean is, what I mean is this. So right now, right, and until some upcoming transitions, I've been running 4 committees, right? To include this one for the last 90 days. So as that stands, this has been the only committee that has given pushback without, in my view of it, without a true reasonable rationale, other than, oh, well, we got kicked on the playground 6 months ago.
Protect. No one is willing to stand forward to establish this process, right? And it doesn't matter how much you wish to enforce a pattern on people. They have to be willing to step into that role, and no one is actually willing to do. We have had this discussion amongst the TSC. The hope is that this will change after the new people have been re-elected. So what you're looking for is, are you actually stating that you wish to have not have Kevin as chairman?
I think that there should be consistent movement, as Kevin could be reelected as the co-chair, and he's the chair 6 months from now. Under that particular
so
knowledge.
So you're trying to, just as a matter of procedure, the TSC would adopt that if people were standing up, but no one's willing to stand up to do that. No one's willing to take the co-chair position. Now what do? You can't force us.
I want to. What is the ask that we should have a co-chair before the re-election happens, because we know one of the co-chair is not rerunning, right? So we would have a vacancy across the re-election, or is the ask that we must do a chair and co-chair re-election before new members come in? Or how does it kind of play out with like this, the general re-election of the committee?
Well, can I just say my understanding? My understanding is that other committees have got the person who's got another 6 months to run is the chair, and the one that's going to take over after them is the co-chair, and it's a sort of cycling behavior like that, right? That's what's going on in those systems. But that requires people to, yeah, which is fine. We wouldn't have any problem with that if people were willing to stand up and put their hands up for that position. And Adam's not willing to be the chair. Adam's leaving. So, Adam was...
Right. So I would rather kind of dive into what you're saying. So what you said is that the proposed or requested model would work, but nobody's willing to stand up. So what is it that's preventing those of you who are here until April from wanting to stand?
What I think basically the powerlessness, in my respect. I mean, partially it's time, effort, right? And actually the question about, one of the reasons why Kevin is such a good fit for that position is he sits on several other committees, and he plays a great coordination committee. To do that well properly, right, you've got to be attending several of them of the technical meetings each week, like what's the one that was on Tuesdays afternoons, where the project thing, and there's various other ones. Okay, it's a great time commitment. Sorry, Duncan, go on. Stop me.
No, I just want to clarify, because I came in a bit late and I got called away to the door and stuff.
Yeah. We haven't started the meeting. Tex is asking why we don't have the same pattern of chair and co-chair.
So is it that was what I was trying to clarify? Is it just why do we not have a co-chair anymore? And because nobody's volunteered? Is that the...
Yeah, and it's sort of, well, everybody else has done it. Why aren't you doing it? And the answer is,
well, one of the people needs to volunteer.
That's number one. Yeah. So why aren't people volunteering? Well,
I think, well, let me answer for myself. I can't answer for anyone else. Just time, right? I mean, it's extra time commitment, and yeah. I have limited time to spend on this. All of it is, as Neil was just saying, it's all uncompensated. And I would prefer to, if there's an extra time I can spend it on, reviewing Leos specifications or whatever.
Right.
The compensation does change, though, no? Is this something I recently was announced, right? That this is kind of, there's some compensation for the time spent, and it always depends on how much, I think, more time you make it, right? Attending the meetings is definitely what we do, what we try to do all the time. Being more kind of responsible for making it really your utmost priority to attend this meeting all the time, right? I think this is what differentiates a voting member to a chair. And maybe speaking from my side, I can say I have currently at least a repeated conflict every 4 weeks, at least on this time slot. So that's why I've not been considering, for example.
Yeah. So okay, right. So it needs a substantial commitment, and actually it needs because of the way that we're ending up pulling a lot of threads together to try and balance out a lot of things. Attending several other committees and several of the operational reporting committees makes it an easy job. Otherwise, easier job, I should say, than just saying you're chair and co-chair, right? So, and I mean, Adam's found it very difficult to keep up with things in the last 6 months, right, because of time commitments. So, I think the answer here is this is a chair and co-chair is a substantive role on the TSC. It requires a substantive commitment.
So there's two things that I would look at out of what I've heard. The first of which could be a very simple question, which is how many of you, not how many people attend the same 4 meetings, right? But how many of you are involved in at least one of those other meetings?
We'd have to work out the list and the frequency and everything else. And I think you'd find there's only, who else turns up to the weekly progress report, Johnny? Because I know you do and Kevin does.
Adam as well,
All right.
but Adam's leaving the TSC.
Right. And
Is
so
the
is
node
Johnny.
release meeting, or which one is this progress
The
report?
release meeting.
This
So
is
that's the
the
release
re-
meeting. That's one of them. Okay. Right.
Release officers for Cardano node integration from all the different module teams.
Yeah.
That's almost that's one. Then you need somebody else for the parameters committee, right? Which I know people aren't
So-
leaving, but they are leaving the TSC.
So I do understand that we kind of missed the point to kind of have a chair rotation so that somebody can become comfortable in being a co-chair before it can step up to be a chair, right? And I think that kind of, if we do it exactly the same election cycle, if somebody just doesn't run for the 1 in 6 months, right? We just have a departure on the co-chair or a chair, which happens now too. And maybe more personally, I would say I would feel much more comfortable in chairing this meeting if I have been co-chairing it for a while. That's one aspect I can see.
Well, but I mean, given that no one was willing to stand up before at this point, we were putting this off until after, as you said, as Christian is saying, right, in the chat, you know, we can't fix it now, so let's wait until we see who else. If someone new who joins us wants to be in that position, that'd be great. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a number of different options. I only brought it up. I know there's other things that we can talk about, and I'll let you guys get to that because we're at a court piece at this point. But I did want to get a general understanding, at least while we were getting to that court nature, to figure out, hey, what is going on? How can we move to something that's a slightly different format? And in terms of the experience in co-chair, right? Let's say one of you were to be willing to step up to be the chair, but have Kevin as the co-chair and you guys work together on that. You could do a byproduct over the 6 months, and it doesn't have to be that way. We'll work with the conditions, but I'm just saying there's optionality there. The last thing I'll say is on the concerns of direction. There is power to the committees when things are done in proper order. I know a lot of that has been segmented over the last 6 months. But what I'm looking to do or say to you is, as a secretary, right, and as essentially the secretary that's going to be sticking around for the foreseeable future, it's my job to be in line with each of you, especially the chair and co-chair position, to ensure what you are doing or wanting to do or whatever is effectively communicated and so on. So really it's demonstrating lines of communication and trying to give you all a place to get those ideas up to the front. I don't want you to feel like that's complicated. So yeah, I'll let you guys stew on that, but feel free to ping me at any time. I'm wide open the DMs.
Okay, thanks, Tex. But are we forward yet?
Yes.
We are, but we
Without
don't
a
have
chair.
But we don't have a co-chair.
Correct.
Or chair.
Any form of chair, yeah. Yes, look, I accept that, but I think let's not. We have to find a way. To get more motivation into what the TSC does and all the rest of it. And I think there's going to be some. I can see, but unfortunately, we're always going to be seen as the bête noire in this process because we're always going to be pointing out things that, also good things, but also things that are not going so well. Anyway, okay. So what are we going to do? Are we going to actually start the meeting and elect the chair, or are we going to wait for Adam?
I think we would not wait, right? The question is, should we have the meeting or adjourn?
Let's have a meeting and nominate a temporary chair just for this meeting. Be my suggestion.
I can run for this as I proposed the agenda on the chat.
I was just about to say, Sebastian, you were mulling the idea that you might. So here's your opportunity.
Here's your opportunity.
I nominate Sebastian.
Okay.
I second.
All right, good. Then let's start this interim me as a chair mode of operation here. Yeah, we collected an agenda in the steering committee channel. I posted it on the chat. Is any other item, like any other business to be added there? Anybody else having anything else?
I'd
Put
like
it
to
into the
raise a
chat.
point. I'd like to raise a point that came up during submission of the governance action for the parameter change on the pre-prod network,
Mhm.
where common tools failed, including the Cardano org governance overview, failed to implement tiny subclause of a parameter we want to change, being within the security group and thus needing to be voted on by SPOs.
That sounds quite current and urgent. What is the? So it was an issue.
Do you want to do that one first then? Do you propose we do that first? Okay,
I would say so, because this sounds quite immediate. It's the current business.
Given I was in, could you just go through that last statement about the tools having problem? What was the issue of the tools again, please?
So generally speaking, parameter changes do not need to be voted on by SPOs.
Right.
But according to the constitution, there is the security group, which defines like a dozen or so parameters, one of which is the transaction mem units for
changed,
blocks.
Yeah.
And because we want to change that parameter, SPOs need to vote
Sorry,
on
you were talking
our
over each other.
upcoming.
Could you just repeat which parameter? Sorry, Neil was talking.
The transaction mem units for blocks.
Transaction mem units for blocks. Okay, thank you.
We want to do two different changes: transaction mem units for transactions, and the one for blocks. And the one for blocks is within the security group. Since the more secure prevails, SPOs need to vote on the whole governance action. The problem that we have identified is in posting that governance action on pre-prod through Ryan from Intersect, is that all the tools, including the explorers that were available, show that SPOs do not need to vote on that. We have raised the issue with the explorers. Cardano Scan or C Explorer, I can never differentiate the two. One of the two already fixed the problem, and the others are aware.
So
Cardano Scan has fixed it, and there's also another tool on the Cardano org web page where I right now work on the fix, so it is also clarified. And sorry to interrupt you, Alex. We will also communicate this to the SPOs in order to raise awareness and use the opportunity for this to make it a topic and let SPOs actually understand that there's some difference between these things. Go ahead, Alex. Sorry for having you interrupt.
No, all good. So part of the problem is addressed directly by the explorers, or where we have identified the problem. The other part of the problem, as just alluded to by Marcus, is communication, so that SPOs are just aware either way, whether tools show it or not. But what I'm slightly worried about, and I can't verify that directly, and time will tell, if there are any other implementations within tools, such as the Martin Lang tools, the SPO scripts, or all these tinier tools where a bug would be hidden such that SPOs can't vote. I just want to raise that as a worry. Is that, yeah, that's all.
Because in summary, this has highlighted shortcomings in the tools. Yeah, number one. Secondly, will this shortcomings affect? Do we have any whether the same shortcoming could affect their ability to vote through certain voting processes?
Could be.
Because one, as you say, one is the communications problem. The other is the ability for them to exercise their rights problem. Yes.
Yeah.
So if tools stop them from, the tools don't stop them from voting.
Well, if a tool pre-selects the thing that you can do, and the tool doesn't show you the governance action because it assumes you anyway don't have to vote on it.
Okay, so
then-
you're saying that's still not. No, if they know they have to vote, and they go and vote somehow, as long as they, I'm just saying, I'm concerned about taking away people's ability to vote, as well as, I'm concerned about the ability to vote is much more important to have right.
I think if somebody really wants to vote, they can, because they
Yep.
can also always use just Cardano's VLI and just circumvent most of the abstraction tools.
But
But the point stands that perhaps there is common tools out there that are used to vote, which do not show that appropriately, or doesn't let you
that's
actually
something
vote.
to communicate hard.
Yes.
I know I'm jumping hands, but I have some clarifications. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Martin Lang tools do match to the different requirements. He has done that testing over the time. So if anybody's using SPO scripts, those are available to vote on and will show up as votable. The cold.s key is required in all cases for SPO votes anyway, so it will come back to the CLI. I don't know of any front-end tool that exists that allows an SPO to vote, so they will have to do that in their own environment.
Voting.Cardano Foundation can. Yes.
It creates a transaction that can be signed, but it has to be signed by the cold key. I don't think anybody holds their cold key online or available to a hot wallet, because if they do, they're not doing best practice. But it may be able to create a transaction for them to sign, but I think they have to use the CLI. Is my point. At least I hope they do. But in any case, the availability of the votes there. And actually, AdaStat's dashboard explorer for governance has the opposite problem, in which they always show the SPOs voting, even though it's not always required. So people might be confused in the opposite direction and think that they have responsibility when they don't. But yeah, another good thing that mitigates this worry is that we implemented the delegate to auto abstain or no confidence for SPOs a while back, and a large amount of stake has taken up the abstain option. So a lot of SPOs have opted out of governance, so it shouldn't be as worrying a proposition as it was before, because the people who stuck around are those who haven't auto abstained and have taken place in previous votes. So hopefully their awareness of governance and their previous participation might be enough to get past the threshold.
I guess it's also just a good test. I mean, this is presumably not a time critical vote, this one. So it's a good way of getting the, sort of bugs out of the tools. And I also just wanted to clarify what, Sebastian said on the channel, just to clarify, we're only suggesting here that it's a tooling problem and not a ledger rules problem, right? And what I was then also going to add was that where is it? SIP 1694, where this is all defined. I can see how you would get this wrong. So if we're going to go around and point out to tool authors, you missed a bit. My guess would be that they made there's a class of error here, which is that, let me find the 1694 again. Because the 1694 has got this nice table of who has to vote on what. Except there's one exception which doesn't fit into the structure of the table. And my bet is that that's the one that people implementing these tools missed. Because it says, like, here, there's this nice table, and then it says afterwards, each of these thresholds, blah, blah, blah. There's one additional threshold, Q5, related to security relevant protocol parameters. I'll just explain below. Yeah, any proposal attempted to change such a parameter requires an additional vote of the SPOs with a threshold Q5. And then it lists, about 10 parameters. So yeah, it's probably all of those that got missed by these tools. So if we're going to go around and do some publicity and try and get tool authors to change things, probably that's the bit in the spec we ought to point them to and make sure that they've got it fixed for not just, what is it, max block execution units, I guess, in this case.
Yes, exactly.
But like, there's 10 of them in total, I think, here, if I can count them.
Just for this purpose of the recording, if anybody who makes a tool who's watching this meeting, which I don't think is a very overlapping Venn diagram, but even so, if you make a tool and watch this meeting, you can go to bit.ly/Cardano guardrails for a table that I made, which is color coded to those that require an SPO vote.
Very nice.
Can you maybe provide a link, Duncan and Jonathan, to the chat to all of these things you just pointed at?
Yes.
And what are the action items here? I hear one, there could be a potential clarification on the SIP we could do. And Duncan seems to have a very good idea, or Jonathan also had a color-coded improvement. Maybe this can be contributed back. That is a potential action item I can see here. But is there anything else for the TSC to do here right now? Like suggest how long this stays on prepub before we do it on mainnet, or is there any ask maybe coming from you, Alex, from the parameter committee, or?
There is no dedicated ask that I had in mind right now. While you were talking, I was thinking it could be good potential for us to just edit SIP 694 to clarify that, because it really is confusing. And it would be an easy edit too.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading that SIP the other day and that section, and I also missed that the first time around. I think it's an easy one to miss.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's structured. Everything's in a table with this one exception. Maybe we should take Johnny's table and paste that into the SIP instead.
It's a bit much. It includes all of the guardrails rules. I don't know if it would be a good idea to put that in there.
I've not even looked at your table, so I mean,
it's word for word reading of the guardrails and representing it in a table. I don't think it belongs in the SIP because the guardrails can be changed based on constitutional changes. It's just a snapshot in time.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the action points that I would suggest would be any communications channels from Intersect that are related to the technical steering committee or other committees. Just highlight in public in various places that this particular governance action requires SPO participation, and do a little educational piece about the existence of the security group, just so that they have the context.
Yeah, that is already happening. We've drafted a blog post already, and that is going out next week. Tomorrow in the morning, I have a sync call about it. I think we can stress the point about the security parameter group even more to highlight the fact that it's not just that one parameter, but 9 others. To make it more educational. It's a good idea.
And if anybody does know the ADAStat folk, ADAStat are representing the SPO vote on every governance action, which I think is an even more confusing thing that's happening right now.
Okay, sounds like we covered this item. And I think we have also a TSC Twitter handle, which we could use to kind of further the reach on the blog post and retweet everything. Awesome. Yeah, it's the first decentralized governance action parameter change we're actually doing, right, on Cardano.
If it passes the SPO threshold.
Oh yeah. It's the first we should be doing. I think so. Right.
We did something before after. Okay,
We changed the previous cost models, but I think there was
in place. But yes, but
there was 3 times. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can go to the next agenda item. Let's see which one we can have, depending on who proposed it. There was one about the updates on the Intersect Steering Committee meeting. Adam could have provided those updates. I'm not sure if anybody else could give those. Speak up now. I have not been there.
I believe the primary updates are regarding the committee elections. So we've kind of already discussed, I don't know, we haven't really gone into that, but basically reach out to who you can, encourage some others to reapply. If there's someone who may have some time, and even if they are on one other committee, they would still have some opportunity. But the reference is coming down to each committee to say, hey, please reach out to who you can. Obviously, you have a feeling or a wherewithal for what goes on in this committee. So having those one-on-one conversations is likely easier to encourage someone with the appropriate skill to apply and continue to provide benefit. I believe that was the main point. Christian, if you were there, maybe you can tap in as well. I was trying to find the minutes, but they're not up yet. So,
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
ISC meeting. Did I miss anything?
I think you covered it, actually.
About the elections, as a quick reminder, right? I think there's nominations until end of this month, 30th or so.
The 24th.
24th, 1 week more. Okay. And then there is a voting and summary. Results will be then already by November. Is this when we can expect new members to join? If there has been any candidates?
I'm sorry, one more time on that.
By which time then the new members will join in this cycle? Is it November-ish?
Yeah, so the voting is going to be the 27th through November 7th, and we plan to do the announcements after or at the Cardano Summit.
Okay, so mid-November.
Yeah, mid-November. It's going to be a little weird. The open source committee has been pretty good about meeting bi-weekly, but I guess we might be the only ones. So there's essentially going to be about one meeting that happens immediately that following week. And then it's the Thanksgiving break for some or most. And then December, there's only room for 2 or 3 meetings. So the October elections are a little weird that way. There is some conscious thought to changing elections, potentially looking at longer terms. None of that is decided as of yet. Obviously, that'll still go back to ISC, but all of that is being iterated or thought on by the elections team here on the back end. And so we should have more information come probably February as we get closer to the April elections. So that's where we stand currently.
Okay, thanks. We'll probably can tick that off now too, the agenda item. So we have 3 more to go. Hardware working group status update. That is something I believe was when Kevin always brought it, but point is now, is there any change already? Who is actually chasing and kind of reinstating the working group?
As best as I know, it was all about Kevin and trying to figure out what parts or people from the former working group are still here or keen or supposed or allowed to participate in the, I don't know, we started a working group, or if it's so much different now than maybe just a new instance or new setting doing hard fork preparation processes. I'm not aware, but it was, as best as I know, only Kevin following it so far.
Okay, so there's nothing really we can or we should be doing about it. One idea is to bootstrap it maybe out of this, what we just mentioned before, this Tuesday release kind of meeting, leaning on a bit on the Cardano node releases of like the notable node producing nodes would kind of directly have an interest in being part of that. But okay, let's see, maybe as we're a bit of an interim mode today, we probably not take an action on this. We have 2 more topics. One is that I brought, which is about the SIP 164, which we discussed last week. So it has been the topic of last week's TSC meeting, an ad hoc discussion, which was happening, and I think a few of the TSC members and a few others interested people have been around. Just wanted to give a quick follow-up that the design team has been working on that feedback presented. I must thank Duncan. You raised a point last week, which you then followed up with a PR comment, which I believe has been responded on now. Let me find the link. So that has been evolving further. I think that was good and constructive. So just now pointing to said comment 5 days ago. So the SIP PR is in progress. We see Duncan's comment there, and I think we directed it to a thread on the actual body of the SIP, which is often very useful to keep threads there. So maybe the ask there is any kind of feedback given on SIPs, as I'm a co-author here and bring this as a co-author in like the agenda. Very much appreciated if we can use the threading feature there to kind of keep discussions focused, or just provide alternative venues where we can have a concrete discussion on these things. And maybe something to briefly mention also, we did have another PR, just that like there has been great interest within this committee and also in the wider community, definitely, on this particular SIP. We have also been redoing some of the evidence, so the simulations, because we found a bug in the simulator. Let me just find this. It's on the fork of the SIPs.
Did the bug produce worse results or better results?
That's a good question. It's better results.
So the bug was giving a false positive impression?
Yeah, it was about, I was including a transaction twice into the ledger, which is, of course, it's a simulator. There was no checking on double spends or anything, because it's just basically modeling the validation times, right? Yeah, so calculating things double, which led to worse than expected effective throughput, which was basically transaction reaching the ledger was counted. So now it's much more, it's not exactly double, but kind of, very promising, I would say, that the 300 transaction kilobytes per second data throughput so quite feasible with this mode of endorsing blocks and voting on them. So that is just so I gave a link here in the chat. This is a PR on our fork, which will, then once merged, update the body of the Cardano Foundation SIPs repo. We did it in minor things already so far, but this one is, as you can see, maybe it's kind of recreating or updating the figures, the evidence, the simulation results. Okay, that's about it. Maybe to conclude, feedback always welcome on the SIP in particular. There is also the Discord channel, by the way, for more instant message exchange on the CIP editor server. And we have another SIP 135 in the next agenda item. But there it's not about the feedback, I guess.
Disaster recovery fire drills that's happening today.
Yeah, so it's more an execution of something which was already like long planned, right?
Yeah, it's on SanchoNet, run by Martin. No, not Martin. I don't know why I said that. That's Martin Lang is a member of the group of people that are testing it, but it's Mike Hornan that is running it because he owns and runs SanchoNet at this point. So what I've done in the chat here is a link to those who are participating. There's 6 of us who are SPO on SanchoNet. and it's HEPHY, Cardano 420, which is the Epoch's End host. Myself, Sevens, Mike Hornan, and Martin Lang are running SPOs that have full delegation, while all other delegations have been removed from SanchoNet so that we can test stopping block production for a period of time, and then how to recover from that lack of a chain. So we'll be going through some real testing this evening at 1800 UTC. And we're meeting up on the Able Discord in the stream section to just coordinate with each other and talk about like how to make things go really bad so we can make them be good again.
Can you maybe provide a link to the event too, or the Discord invites channel event? Anything?
There's only one working link, but the problem is because there's this. The way it works with the recovery is you need a cloister of specific anointed recovery pools that work together. So there's a coordination effort here where everybody has to truncate their node and start at the same time and increase the speed at which they create blocks on the network to get back to the same slot that is expected. So I don't know about bringing other people in at this point because it might become a spectator sport instead of trying to figure out how to do things properly.
Okay.
Maybe we could record it for future referral, but it is very much a fire drill testing, seeing if it works moment. It's not we have an established method yet.
Okay, yeah. So it's a proof of concept of what was proposed in the SIP. We'll do it now, and then we get good confidence, as we just also gained with the protocol parameter update. Just there might be wrinkles, and we get it done. And
the two big challenges I think are making sure everybody truncates back to the exact same block or slot, and make sure that they've run the clock at the right speed and all start at the same time. This kind of thing. There's coordination, which is why it has to be this special group, right, that rebuilds the chain history at an accelerated rate. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and that's just one of the multiple ways that things can be recovered. That's just one of the testings. There's like two other scenarios in the SIP which have previously been tested, but I think today is about the lack of block production across the whole network for an extended period of time. Neil, did you put your hand up briefly?
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, I'm assuming when you say all the transaction history, it's really building empty transactions from that point, or you actually
whenever it's rebuilding the chain, it will just be a bunch of empty blocks.
It's about
just to get back some integrity, but there'll be no actual processing of work.
That was just I was making that for the recording more than anything else.
Yeah. We're not creating a cloistered group of people that have full control of all transactions. we're just creating a continuous list of blocks that are expected.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you, Johnny, to maybe bring it as an agenda item next week?
I'll report back on whether or not we succeeded.
Yeah, exactly. That would be wonderful.
You get bragging rights, Johnny. Right, battle scars.
It'll be interesting. Trying to get everybody to do everything at the same time. But we'll see.
Okay. Awesome. So I think this is all the agenda items we had for today. We had actually not much to push off into next week, but we'll collect agenda items again on our channel. And if there is no further business, I think we can adjourn this session. Yeah, sounds like. And was easier than I thought. So
one thing I will do is I'll share a link in the technical steering committee Slack channel for the Able Discord if people from the TSC want to come along and observe, because I think it will be less disruptive. Well,
are you making assumptions of us being not disruptive?
Given Neil's history of having commentary, maybe I'm wrong, but it would be good to have Neil there as an observer anyway, because he's well knowledged.
Yeah. I don't know if I got the time actually. I haven't been. We'll see. Okay, Jen.
Is anyone
And
going
you-
to be in Berlin for the summit, the Cardano summit next month? Tex?
I most
I will
likely
be, yeah.
do.
I will probably be going, I think.
Mhm.
So hope to see some of you there.
Looking forward to that.
I've dropped my calendar here, by the way. I really wanted to just stress that I make myself available as best as possible. So I had no intentions of rubbing anyone the wrong way. If you guys would like to discuss this any further, individual sentiments, or if you guys want to get a smaller group together just to go through it, more than happy. But if that's beating a dead horse, then we'll just carry on. But want to make myself available. So
Thanks. All right. Thank you everyone for today. And I'm gonna see you then maybe even in person soon in a month.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sebastian.
Cheers everyone.
Ciao.
I